Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here, and today we're talking about something a little bit, in some circles I guess you would even consider it pornographic. See, if you take this product to a certain kind of bike fitter, make sure you bring the paper towels because they're going to get excited, they're going to make a mess, you're going to have to clean it up. Today we look at the SQ Lab, and in certain bike fitting circles, this saddle is the bike fitter's wet dream. This is the holy grail. And today, I'm just going to give you some brief thoughts about whether I agree with the hype. So grab your lube and let's go. Okay, so these SQ Lab saddles, like with all the saddles I've been doing this testing series on, they're provided to me by the bike fitter in Brisbane. So what would be really cool is, while you're watching this or after, if you could go chuck his page a like. He's been really helpful in getting this off the ground, and actually he's made me a lot more comfortable on my road bike, which is a separate thing. But today we are talking about the SQ Lab saddles, SQ Lab, not lap. This saddle, in fact, this exact saddle, well, not this exact one, this one's still in packaging. This one I've been using on my road bike, and I'll give you a bit of a rundown in this video of how the SQ Lab saddles work. I'll show you how to get them set up, and then we're going to cut to me on the trainer to show you how it works on the bike, as well as maybe talking you through some of my positives and negatives with using this kind of a system. So, how does it work? The SQ Lab saddle at first might look a lot like any other saddle, but this one is unique in that it has a flare or a rise at the back here. It doesn't look like much, but if you compare it to other saddles, go and have a look at your bike saddle right now, and you will notice that it is rather flat at the back. Some tail up right at the end, but this section here is quite chunky, and really for you connecting to the bike, you might as well cut that right off, because where you're supposed to sit is right here. The first thing you have to do with an SQ Lab saddle, and I'm going to show you how to do this in a sec, is measure your sit bones, because the width of your sit bones is going to determine which saddle you get. You'll be able to see that this one, or at least I think you'll be able to once it focuses, which it's not going to, is 13 centimeters, and the one that I'm riding at the moment is 14 centimeters, 140 millimeters, because I've measured my sit bones to be 140 millimeters. What that means is that when you sit on an SQ Lab saddle, these two rails, you'll see this cutout section here, and these two rails that run along here, your sit bones sit right there, and they lock in against this wedge, preventing you from slipping back on the bike, which, if your bike fit is dialed in, you will find supremely comfortable. You will be in the ideal position, no slipping back, no pushing forward, and also, and most importantly, no gooch pressure, which means that you should not get the sleepy gooch that I'm experiencing. And with my experience of the SQ Lab saddle, this does work. However, and we'll get through this when we're later on the bike, having to sit on a saddle that's perfectly optimized for your position requires a bike fit. At the start of this whole series, I got a bike fit, cost me $450, and then I've gone and tried a whole bunch of different saddles, and I can tell you that my bike fit's not optimized for the SQ Lab saddle. And the difficult thing about this, really, and again, we'll get to this in a sec, is that as you get more fit, your bike fit's going to change, and as you get less fit, this guy, your bike fit's also going to change. But again, we'll get in the meat and potatoes of this in a little bit. First off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to measure how wide your sit bones are without going and paying for an expensive saddle. alignment or whatever it's called. So let's do that. Okay, now, Jesus, ignore that doll in the background. For this test, what you're going to need is a sheet of A4 paper. Now again, this is the ghetto test and it will not be as perfect as actually going and getting your sit bones measured, but from what I've seen, it is actually relatively effective. So you need that, and you need a relatively soft surface. So I'm using my carpet here. The reason for this is you're going to need to get a depression in this paper from your sit bones. Now, doing this in your undies is ideal. However, I'm not doing that for you guys. So you need to sit on the paper and sit, hello, forward, as if you were on a bike, so that your sit bones are on the ground. You'll know that they are because you can feel it. You want to wriggle in a little bit and then hop off the paper. And this has not been ideal. I used to have a really soft squishy mat here, but it's been moved. But what you should have if you're using the right surface is two depressions here and here, which are really not showing up on the camera. What you do is you mark the middle of those. You can kind of see maybe there's a depression here and a depression here. You mark the middle of those, you measure that, and for me, that's 14 centimeters. That's how you measure the distance between your sit bones, ghetto style. Okay, so here we are on the SQ Lab setup. Now, my sit bones are actually really comfy on these rails. You'll see that even if I try and sort of push my bum back, which I am, you just do not slip on this kind of a setup. And I think that's, you know, well, I know that's the idea behind it. It's supposed to lock you in to position. You can slip forward, but if you do, your sit bones then, which really are the only point of contact on this, they then start, the seat basically goes up your ass crack, to come up with a better way of putting it. Now, the main issue with this is the fact that you are locked in. So if your bike fit is not set up ideally for this, you're locked into a position that is going to be uncomfortable. And so as a result, the SQ Lab saddle will always be uncomfortable because you cannot adjust that position. You move forward, you get sodomized, and you move back and you can't. And so this, I think, is sort of the inherent issue with it. And this is why it is only a very specific case if you can afford to buy or pay for a bike fit. And on top of that, as you continue to get more flexible, as your fitness increases, are you able to continue to pay for those bike fits? Or do you have the knowledge to do those micro adjustments by yourself, which, you know, most people probably do not. Now, am I comfortable on the SQ Lab saddle? Yeah, it's actually relatively comfortable. I would like to try, unfortunately I only have up to a 14, and I'd like to give a 15 centimeter saddle a go, if they even have that, just to test. I feel like my sit bones are on either side of these rails, sort of on the outsides. So it's not as comfortable as I think it could be. And I can 100% see the test case or the use case for this. But at the end of the day, for most people, I think this is just not the saddle for them. Because let's be honest, most people are not paying to get a bike fit, and if they do dump $450 into a bike fit, they probably want it to last a bit longer than what it could. So yeah, let's jump back up into the study and let's do some final thoughts. Okay, so is the SQ Lab saddle then the solution for you? I'm going to say in most cases, probably not. But if you can afford to go and get a bike fit, and you do want a saddle that, if you're happy to keep that process going, will keep you in the optimal position to make you comfortable for extended periods of time on the bike, then yeah, it really could be. And I recommend, if that's you, Jason, the bike fitter, Gold Coast, or any bike fitter, really. At the end of the day, I think the way to close this video is, if you are experiencing pain on the bike, if you are experiencing discomfort, you shouldn't be. And just know that you can go and get a bike fit and it'll feel better. I'm not going to say it'll feel 100%. A lot of us have issues with our bodies, to be honest, and it's a bit like going to a physio. You can't just go once and expect it to be better. Unlike a physio, bike fitters aren't covered under your private health insurance, so it can cost a bit, but there's no shortcut to getting comfortable on a bike if you are feeling uncomfortable. It is a process that you'll have to go through. Otherwise, maybe try shorter rides. But yeah, with that, is this what I'm going to keep going with? Nah, my journey continues, but I've enjoyed it, and it's cool to know that they're out there. So yeah, anyway, again, cheers, Jace. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the series. This is the end of the which saddle is the best for me. And yeah, I don't know where we go from here, but it'll be fun. Thank you for watching.